Welcome in. As of 2026, this is the richest person alive, Elon Musk. Worth more money than most entire countries. Give or take a bad afternoon on the stock market. Now close that tab and look at this man instead. 700 years ago. He was so wealthy that the historians who study him have quietly given up trying to put a number on him. They can't. Not richer than Musk. Off the scale entirely. And I'd bet you've never once heard his name. His name is Mansa Musa. And here's the knot at the center of this. The richest human who may have ever lived is also one of history's most forgotten. So watch one pattern because it is the whole video. Every time we reach for a tool to measure this man, the tool snaps in our hands, the ruler breaks. And here's the one I still can't get over, on a single trip. He sent the price of gold crashing across a whole region, and by some accounts it stayed down for years. And even that won't tell you what he was worth. That is why I'm here. Quick thing first because it matters. Mansa isn't his name, it's his title. It means something close to Emperor, King of Kings. So Mansa Musa is really Emperor Musa, and the empire is Mali. It's the early 1300s. Look at West Africa on the map. Right here, tucked under Mali, sits gold, the gold fields of Bambuck and Bur. Now you'll read online that Musa controlled more than half the world's gold. It's repeated everywhere, hold it loosely, nobody can really prove a fraction like that. But this part is solid. A huge share of the gold moving through the medieval world came up out of his ground. And here's the thing about gold. It's just a shiny rock until it moves. So watch the Sahara, gold going north, salt coming south, salt. In the desert, salt was almost as precious as gold. Because your body can't last in that heat, without it, you can't eat metal. The two things the whole trade ran on. And Musa's empire sat square on the road between them. That's not a rich man, that's a faucet. Whoever holds the faucet doesn't count coins. He decides what everyone else pays. So how do you show the world you own the faucet? In 1324, Musa answers that. He sets out and heads for Mecca, the Hajj, the pilgrimage every Muslim aims to make once in a lifetime. But look at how he goes. Contemporary Arab chroniclers describe something that reads less like a trip than a moving city crossing the desert. Thousands of people, by one much repeated account, tens of thousands. I'll flag that figure because a caravan doesn't leave a census. Servants, officials, camels, horses, and gold, so much gold. Now here's our one dial. The number to keep your eye on the whole way through, the price of gold in Cairo. Musa reaches Egypt and he doesn't clutch it, he spends, he gives. To officials, to merchants, to the poor in the street. He hands out gold like it weighs nothing, to him it doesn't. And watch the dial move. When one man pours that much gold into a single market, gold itself gets cheaper. Supply floods in, the price falls. In Cairo it drops. And by accounts handed down from the period it stays down. Some say a decade or more before it climbs back. Sit with that. One man on a religious pilgrimage sends the economy of one of the greatest cities on earth reeling, just by being generous. And there it is again, the ruler breaks. Gold was the measuring stick, he broke gold. So how do we even know any of this? This is my favorite part. About a dozen years later, an Egyptian scholar named Al-Umari comes to Cairo, and the locals are still telling the story of the king who drowned them in gold. Al-Umari writes it down. And that word written is everything. It's the reason Musa survives it all, but rewind. Across his reign, roughly 1312 to 1337, Musa is building. In Timbuktu he raises mosques and a university, Sankor, and the great Jingrebir Mosque. Timbuktu swells into a magnet for scholars and books from across the Muslim world. A city of gold that Europe would soon whisper about but never see. Then look at this. In 1375, a mapmaker in Europe draws the Catalan Atlas. Dead center in Africa, he sets a crowned king on a throne, holding up a nugget of gold the size of his fist. That king is Musa. For one bright moment, Europe knows exactly who the richest man on earth is. And then the empire cracks. The trade routes shift. The name thins out and fades. The ruler breaks a third time, and this time, the ruler is human memory itself. Which leaves the real question. How do you misplace a man this enormous? Here's the answer. And it's the reason I wanted to tell you this at all. We didn't forget Mansa Musa because he was too small. We forgot him because he was too big to measure. Go back to how we opened. 400 times richer than Elon Musk. You'll see that number all over the internet. No serious historian will put their name on it, and I looked. Because you cannot convert the man who owned the source of gold into dollars. There's no exchange rate for a faucet. His wealth was never a number. It was a flow, and a flow has no net worth to rank. That is the ruler breaking one final time. The dollar itself can't hold him. Our leaderboards, our rich lists, our tidy rankings, they work beautifully on Musk. They shatter on Musa. And a man your system can't measure is a man your system slowly forgets. And before I go, one honest thing. I've talked about gold in maps in a price that fell. I've said nothing about the people who dug that gold out of the ground, the ones whose names no atlas ever drew. They were uncountable too. So here's what I can't stop turning over. How many more of them are there, the truly immense, filed under unknown because no ledger could ever hold them? I want to go find the next one. If you want to come with me, subscribe so the next one gets made.